What's going on, boys? We're back with another one, and in today's video we're talking about my number one rule slash hack on a deep cut phase. Now, what I define as a deep cut is under caloric BMR. So the thing about a deep cut is you're gonna have like crazy hunger signaling, and that's absolutely normal. So my BMR is somewhere between 1650 and 1750. So as I lose weight, the BMR goes down because the more you weigh, the higher your basal metabolic rate. So right now it's floating around 1700. But when I go below that calorically and then I incorporate exercise and steps, it involves some crazy hunger signaling that you can kind of curb. And the way to not fall off the wagon and to come out of your deep cut, because I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, I had to take a break, or I had to do this, I had to adjust. And it wasn't because they were losing too fast. It was just because they couldn't handle that deep of a cut, that deep of a deficit. The way to not fall off the wagon is to deploy some tools to combat the extreme hunger. And the number one defense that I have that is free of charge, meaning you can get away with it over and over and over again with absolutely no consequences, that I have come across so far, is romaine salad mix. Now, this romaine salad mix is a combination of romaine lettuce, red cabbage, and carrots. So with this combination, you can eat as much as you want, because the carrots aren't at the forefront, they're more of like a side piece, and so the mix isn't calorically dense at all. So I know if you were to gorge yourself with carrots, you'd have a lot of sugar, and it could potentially get calorically dense. I know that's like 200 grams for 100 calories, which is a lot of baby carrots, but I'm just saying, like, in general, it's kind of hard to overdo. And then in the salad mix, you can't overdo it. There's just not enough carrots in the mix to actually mess with your caloric intake. So I allow an unlimited budget for both caloric budget and my money. Like, when I'm on this deep cut, this is the first time deploying this deep of a cut, and so this is something that I've like experimented with, and I'm like, oh crap, I can actually be in a deep cut and then feel full, because I'll eat a salad at around 10 a.m., eat a salad after my run, so like around 1, and then I'll eat a salad before or after dinner whenever I want, as much as I want, whenever I want. It's an all-you-can-eat salad buffet on a deep deficit, on a deep cut. So the other defenses that I have that are free are celery, broccoli, carrots, asparagus, and cabbage. Now, with some of these, you got to be a little careful, because I know certain people can't eat broccoli and kale and asparagus without butter or some other some other thing that's going to alter the calories. But if you can get away, if you're like me, who has like extremely sensitive taste buds, and you can get away with black pepper and garlic powder, and honestly, I put just garlic powder on my salad, or my homemade taco seasoning that is without salt, I put that on it, and it makes it taste delicious. So like, those are some great defenses against the deep cut deficit hunger that you are going to experience if you go below your BMR while also exercising. So the leg day that I'm posting on the same day as this video, legs and abs, I ate the day before and the day of, and then during that week, 1,500 calories. So roughly like 1,551 to be exact, actually, is 1,551. So it's rough when you run for 40 minutes at 6 miles an hour, which is zone 2 cardio for me, and then also lifting on top of that, it makes for some serious hunger. So these tools and these defenses, that's what I feel like. I'm kind of like running defense on my diet. Really, really helps. Now, some defenses that aren't free, but they can really help you with your deep cut. An example of that would be like sugar-free soda, pickled anything, pickled jalapenos, pickles, pickled peppers, whatever it is that you fancy there. Hot sauces that are without sugar, and then chicken and beef broth. See, the reason they're not free is you got to be careful with them because they can increase your sodium intake, which is going to increase bloating, which is going to decrease performance, and there's some things that can go wrong there. So that's why they're not exactly free. You do get to have some of them, and you can have a lot of it, if I'm being honest, like a lot of sugar-free soda. You can eat a lot of the pickles and stuff. Like, again, you kind of got to be careful because of the salt intake. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, actually, you can't eat really a lot of them. You can eat some, like a good amount, but like not too much, because then you're going to be like 3,000, 4,000 mgs of salt a day, and that's a lot, and you don't want to be around there. My recommendation too, when you're drinking sugar-free soda, is to incorporate sugar-free 7-Up, sugar-free Mountain Dew, sugar-free Sprite, be in sugar-free. Let's see, I'm forgetting one. There's another one that has crazy low sodium as well. Oh, these like Frescas, like the citrus and the black cherry, and the Frescas. So the reason I recommend these sugar-free sodas specifically is because they're all floating somewhere between 35 milligrams of sodium and I think maybe 50 at the most. When you get into like root beer, ginger ale, Coke, Pepsi, Diet Coke, all these things that are sugar-free, the sodium is still like 100 milligrams and like 115. So that means for every 3 7-Ups that you drink, it's 1 root beer. So this is why I really like the 7-Up for the sugar-free soda. Another thing is too, you can combine some of these defenses. A good combination tool is to take like some red cabbage, get a head of red cabbage, cut it up into pieces, and then cook some chicken broth or beef broth with it that is like, that doesn't have a ton of calories with it. Like make it like a beef powder or something. If you get real beef broth, there might be some fat in it. Actually, I think 100% there's going to be fat in it, and therefore it'll alter your calories. So we're talking about powders when we're talking about broth, because this is just going to give you sodium and not a lot of calories. So you get to have cabbage soup, and you can eat a lot of it. And again, it keeps you in that deep cut so that you don't pop out of it. The last thing that you want to do on a deep cut is eat something worth 200, 300 calories, because then you're no longer on a deep cut, you're just on a cut. And then it may be going slow. When you're emptying out the bucket, and I guess like the way to describe this is like you empty out, like say a boat's sinking and it's filled with water. This is you being really, really fat. You take a shovel or like a big scoop, big barrel, and scoop it. Say you're like Incredible Hulk. You can take like a giant barrel, right? And then dump out the water. Well, as the water gets less and less, you empty out the boat. I say empty out the bucket because you start with a big cup. I guess this is a better analogy. You have a bucket, you're emptying out with a cup, then you're emptying out with a cup, and then you got to start emptying out with the ladle. Then you empty out with the ladle, and then you start emptying out with a spoon. I guess that's a lot better of analogy right there. So as you deep cut, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. So the more you fluctuate and the more you mess up, the more you're gonna see it, and the less margin of error is allowed. So this is why these tools are so important and so powerful, is because they don't knock you out of the deep cut. Most of them just mess with your sodium intake, which is gonna mess with how much water you're holding. So on certain days, you may be you may look in the mirror and be like, holy shit, I look incredible. Then on a day that you intake a lot of salt and then you drink a lot of water because you intook a lot of salt, you're gonna be like, what the hell? Where did my physique go? And it's just covered with a lot of water, and so therefore, because you're bloated, and it's gonna make you feel like you're not, you gained weight and you're not looking good, but it really is just your salt. As soon as you stop drinking and eating that amount of salt, the next day you're shredded again all of a sudden. So this is why I say be careful with those tools that I told you that aren't free, and this is why I said the vegetables with nothing else, just cooked, with maybe some black pepper and some garlic powder or some homemade taco seasoning, whatever you fancy, with 0 salt. These are free. Other sodium, other defenses have sodium, so therefore they're not free. You got to be careful. And with that said, I believe I covered everything. I hope this helps you guys. I hope you guys are able to implement a deep cut and able to get 10%, 12%, whatever your goals are. And until next time, boys, peace.